And good evening. We are live on Sports Talk Speaker Radio, iHeartRadio.com, YouTube.com, Sports Talk Speaker app. Email for the show, hardy4824@gmail.com. The Twitter is hardy@7830. Again, email is hardy4824@gmail.com. The Twitter is @hardy7830. If you're listening live right now on the Sports Talk Speaker app, YouTube, or iHeartRadio.com, you can go to the chat section of this episode, put any question or comment in there. I'll get to as many of them as I can on the air. I have somebody that looks through them. And I will tell you this, the shorter that you can make it and get to the point, the bigger of a chance you have of your question getting on the air. Because obviously the person that I have looking at these, sometimes we get a lot. So they don't have a lot of time to sit there and read something that is very in-depth and lengthy. So the more condensed you can make it, the better. I'll get to as many of them as I can. On the air today is Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. So obviously that is MLK Day, a groundbreaking man who literally sacrificed his life for the rights and freedoms of African Americans. And that's one of the things that I look at what's going on in today's world. And I'm not going to get in political stuff right now, but people like Harriet Tubman and Rosa Parks and MLK, they didn't do the things that they did to have us where we are in today's society. It's just we're not in a very good place right now. And when days like this come up, that's something that I personally think about. Like Martin Luther King got locked up. He got ridiculed. He ended up getting assassinated by a rogue racist, pretty much. And that, you sit here and think about, he did all of that so we could all live together and everybody have the same rights and freedoms. And still today, we have the argument and discussion about race in a lot of things. And to me, that's just disturbing, because people like him did not do the things that they did for us to have the type of separation that we do in 2018. Granted, I think that it's not as much as the media makes it out to be. And, I go back to the tragedies that happened in Las Vegas with the mass shooting and the floods that happened in Florida, Puerto Rico, and Houston. And one of the things that you take from those images is people working together. Not caring about race, not caring about religion, not caring about ethnic beliefs or anything like that. They just helped people. And it shouldn't take tragedies for things that Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, and Harriet Tubman fought for to happen. It should not take tragedies for us to come together as humans. And we need more of that. We need more of that in today's society, because it's unfortunate that even in today's time that race plays the part that it does. So, out of respect for him and his birthday and everything he did, just wanted to take a second for that. Because I know some of you might be sitting here thinking, I'm not going to get into political stuff. This is a sports show. I know a lot of people of you listen to this show to get away from things that are going on in your life, and that's what we're going to go to now. I just wanted to take a time to recognition that and point that out, because it is a fact. Martin Luther King did not get arrested and get ridiculed and in the end sacrifice his life for us to still be divided the way that we are. And I am one that personally believes that a lot of it is the media driving it more than anything. I don't think that people are as separated as the media sometimes makes it seem. So let's get into sports, because that's what we do. We do have some NFL news. I'm going to get to that first, and then I'm going to get to the games. Mike Mularkey is now the former Titans head coach, as they mutually agree to part ways. Look, there's occasions where when you hear about mutual parties agreeing to part ways, there's circumstances where you can believe that that's true. Like with Coughlin and the Giants, they mutually agreed that that time was up. This one to me does not feel mutual. It doesn't. And I think what it came down to, and they're redoing that whole staff. They're changing their offensive coordinator. They're getting a new head coach. They're changing a lot of things, and I think what it came down to for Mularkey wasn't the loss to the Patriots. It was the fact of Mariota has not grown. And I think that that's something that the Titans owner really looked at. If they play New England in a close game, does he still get fired? Let's say the Patriots ended up beating them 35-28 instead of 35-14. Does Mularkey still have his job? I don't think that he does. Because I hate to use the term predetermined, but I think that Titans ownership and the GM already had it in their mind, we're going to move on from him. And I think a lot of it had to do with Mariota was not growing. You look at Mariota's rookie season, looked like he might be the saving grace. He's fallen. And people have asked me, is he going to be another Josh Freeman? Is he going to be another RG3? Where he has this great rookie year, and then he falls off. One thing I don't like about Mariota is sometimes he thinks about running before he thinks about throwing. As a quarterback in today's NFL, you cannot do that. You just can't. You cannot think about running before you think about throwing. Second thing I don't like about him is he gets banged up a lot. There's a report that he got a hamstring injury in the first quarter of the New England game. The other season, he had a shoulder injury. Missed the rest of the season. They probably would have made the playoffs last season if he wouldn't have got that shoulder injury and missed the last couple of games. And let's not forget of what that Titans team was before Mularkey and Mariota got there. But what Mularkey's downfall was with that ownership was Mariota did not progress. And I believe that that's what got him fired. Mariota regressed this season. Now, some quarterbacks, they get fragile after they get injured. I think that was part of Derek Carr's issue this season. He broke his leg last year. He looked like he was fragile this season. Now, with that said, that offensive line this season was terrible. He didn't have a lot of time to throw the ball. But he looked like he kind of changed after that injury. Now, I do think that that's going to be fixed by John Gruden. And we know how John Gruden is. He is not easy on quarterbacks, especially quarterbacks that he knows has talent. And Derek Carr has shown that he has talent, because I do believe he made Crabtree and Cooper look better than what they really are. But every quarterback needs an offensive line and needs a running game. I don't care who you have back there. If he's only getting 1 to 2 seconds to throw the ball and he's getting hit every time he goes back, and he doesn't have a running back for the defense to worry about, he's not going to do well. It just is not going to happen. Derek Carr is going to get that help. Mariota is going to get that help. Now, who are the Titans going to hire? I don't know. Now, usually, and this is what's odd about this, before the New England game, there were reports of Mularkey's going to get an extension. They're going to give him 2 more years. They're going to stay with him. Even after the loss to New England, those were reports. Until about 10, 11 o'clock this morning. Then all of a sudden, it was Mularkey is fired. They mutually agree to part ways. One of two things happened here. Either it was a mutual agreement and Mularkey came in there and said, look, I think somebody could do better with Mariota than what I'm doing. I want to move on. I think I need to move on. Or this was a case of the Titans have talked to somebody and have gotten somebody that they want and they know that they can get them, so they let Mularkey go. It's one of those things. Because 9 times out of 10, when you hear of a team saying, we're going to stay with our coach, we're talking in an extension, it happens. If that coach ends up getting fired, it's usually because the team has found somebody that they really wanted to get, and that person and their agent has said, you will get us if you move on from your current head coach. Or Mularkey came in there and said, you know what, I'm not doing here what I wanted to do. I think somebody could do better with Mariota. We need to move on. One of those two things happened. Now, some people believed that the Titans moved on from Mularkey this morning because they were going to be able to get Josh McDaniels, the current offensive coordinator for New England. Well, now there's reports that McDaniels, at the end of this season, whenever that is, whether it's next weekend or after the Super Bowl, he's going to take the Colts job. And really, when you look at and this is one of the reasons I think the Bengals kept Marvin Lewis, is they looked at the options. They looked at who's available, who's out there. Is there anybody really available that we feel is better than what we have right now? And I think the Bengals sat there and said, look, there's nobody out there that we really want, so we're going to stick with Marvin Lewis. Now, who's this going to be for the Titans? I don't know. Because at first, when this report first got out, everybody was saying it's going to be Josh McDaniels. That's who they're going to get. Now it sounds like McDaniels is going to end up with the Colts. Now, none of this is final. None of this, there's just reports that McDaniels is going to become the Colts' next head coach. We'll have to see what happens. There's also reports that Matt Patricia is going to be the Lions' next head coach. And I hear some people criticizing Patricia for taking, if he does take this job, which it sounds like that he will, over the Giants' job. Well, look at what you have. That Giants' job is a rebuilding job. Eli Manning is 38. He's going to be 39 next season. He has regressed. Like it or not, he has regressed. And I've always been hard on Eli Manning. I've stood by the fact of, I believe Phillip Rivers is better than Eli Manning. Eli Manning just has 2 Super Bowls. And if it isn't for the Giants' defense, and it isn't for Mario Manningham's catch in 1 Super Bowl, and then David Tyree's catch in another Super Bowl, he doesn't have any rings. And he's on the back end of his career. That Giants job is a rebuilding job.